Well, we are continuing our study with Heart of the Shepherd today with the second of two devotionals. This one is from Psalm 130, and I've titled it The Cry of a Penitent Sinner. Now, Psalm 130, again, is also numbered among the Psalms titled A Song of Degrees, and it expresses, as you will see, the sincere humility of a sinner coming to worship the Lord. If you would notice with me then in the first four verses, what I would describe as a petition for forgiveness. Now, the words of a penitent sinner are found then in the first two verses where we read, out of the depths, and that is a deep place, a dark place, out of the depths have I cried unto thee, O Lord. Lord, hear, listen, heed my voice. Let thine ears be attentive to the voice of my supplications. Now, the supplications there is to the voice of my plea for God's mercy. Now, in his guilt and despair, the psalmist confessed his sin, and he pled for the Lord to hear his prayer and to show him mercy. Now, notice in verse 3 and 4, here we read, if thou, Lord, shouldest mark, and keep watch or guard or preserve. If you, Lord, preserve my iniquities, my sin, my guilt, Lord, who shall stand? Remembering that God is a holy God, who can approach God who is holy, being a man who is a sinner? Well, verse 4, the psalmist continues and he says, there is forgiveness with thee, that thou mayest be feared or afraid. Now, the psalmist acknowledged that no sinner can stand or enter into the presence of the Lord, who is holy. And yet, he was confident that the nature of God is to forgive the sins of a repentant sinner so that he might enter into his presence and worship him. And then notice verses 5 through 8, what I would describe as an anticipation of forgiveness and restoration. In verse 5, we read, I wait for the Lord. Literally, I hope for the Lord. My soul doth wait. Again, the intent is to hope. And in his word do I hope. I have cause for hope. Why? Because of not only who the Lord is, but because of his word. Now the psalmist continues in verse 6, my soul waiteth for the Lord more than they that watch or keep watch for the morning. Some watching for the sun to rise. And he goes on and he says, and I say more than they that watch for the morning. Let Israel hope or have cause for hope in the Lord. For with the Lord there is mercy, and with him, that is the Lord, is plenteous redemption. And he, the Lord, verse 8, shall redeem, buy out, liberate, pay Israel from all of his iniquities. And so the Lord is portrayed here as the Redeemer of Israel, his wayward people. Now, the psalmist is confident in the Lord's mercy and forgiveness in verse 4. In verses 4 through 8, waited for the Lord and his redemption. Why should a sinner hope in the Lord? Because the Lord is merciful and compassionate, and his promise to redeem all who come to him. Well, I close with an encouraging word from the Apostle John in 1 John chapter 1 and verse 9, where we read, if we confess our sins, he, the Lord, is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. And then he goes on in verse 10, herein is love, not that we love God, but that he loved us, and he sent his Son to be the propitiation, the atonement, to be the Redeemer for our sins. What a wonderful truth we have today. God is a holy God, and we dare not enter into his presence with sin, but when we do, we come before him acknowledging him as our Redeemer and his forgiveness. I pray that this has been an encouragement to you today. God bless you, and have a great day. Bye-bye.